Hey everyone, Kaldheim was released in January 21 and is strongly inspired by the Norse mythology. I wanted to find out what the parallels were between those two things, and some of the most interesting characters in Norse mythology are not the powerful gods, it's the creatures that keep popping up to challenge the gods and also terrorizing the humans. And the Norse mythology, including the stories of Odin, Thor and Loki, was the basis of the religion of the Viking warriors that accompanied Europe from the 8th to the 11th century. The religion perished about 1000 years ago when Christianity swept northern Europe, but Norse mythology, with its compelling stories, complex characters and fearsome monsters, has never really lost ground in the Scandinavian mindset and has greatly influenced contemporary literature, television and games, so also the Magic the Gathering. And I'm really interested in this kind of mythology, so I did a little bit of research to know more about the creatures of this world. So today I will introduce you to some of the inspirations and parallels that Kaldheim took from the Norse mythology, and I will explain those creatures. So one of the inspirations for creatures are the Draugr. The Draugr are the undead of Norse mythology. Although some stories describe them as blood-drinking creatures, they resemble zombies more than vampires, and the Draugr possess superhuman strength, can change size at will, but they cannot help the unmistakable stench of decay and have the ugly visage of a dead body. The Draugr creatures often live in their tombs to defend the treasure they were buried with, but they have also been known to invade communities to wreak havoc among the living, often tormenting those who have wronged them in life. They can kill by crushing someone with their superior strength, eating their flesh, eating them whole when enlarged, or kill indirectly by driving a person insane. It's said that these creatures can enter the dreams of the living to torment them, and they always leave a gift behind to show the victim that the encounter was real. The Draugr can be killed and suffer a second death if their bodies decay too much, or if they are burned, dismembered or otherwise destroyed. It was believed that evil, greedy or unpopular people were most likely to become Draugr after death. The Dwarfs. In both Norse and Germanic mythology, dwarfs or dark elves are small misshapen creatures who emerge as maggots from the corpse of Ymir, the first of the Norse giants, and were endowed with minds by the gods of Asgard. They lived underground in a place called Svartalheim, which was said to be a labyrinth of mines and forges. They are said to have made the finest weapons and jewelry, including Mjolnir, the hammer of Thor, Gungnir, the spear of Odin, and the long golden hair of Thor's wife. In some myths, dwarves are depicted as turning to stone when exposed to sunlight. For example, a dwarf named Elves is said to have asked for the hand of Thor's daughter, but was tricked into talking until daybreak, when he was struck by the sunlight and turned into stone. The Elves. In Norse mythology there are two different types of elves, the Dokalfar, the Dark Elves, and the Ljosalfar, the Light Elves. It's believed that the Dark Elves resemble the Dwarfs, live underground and are almost black when you see them. Light Elves, on the other hand, were described as more beautiful than the sun. Light Elves were often equated with the gods of Asen and Vanen, and the Vanen god Freyr was the ruler of the elfin homeland of Alfheim. Relations between elves and humans are generally described as ambivalent. They could both cause human diseases and have the power to heal. Humans and elves are believed to have occasionally interbred to produce children who have the appearance of humans but possess extraordinary intuitive and magical powers. And also in Kaldheim there is the story about the Dark and Light Elves and the dispute between the two brothers, Harald, king of Skemfar, and Tuvakel. Fenrir. Fenrir was the most famous of the many wolf creatures mentioned in Norse mythology. He was the son of the god Loki and the giantess Angrboda. The gods of Asgard raised Fenrir to prevent him from causing mischief in the Nine Worlds, but he grew quickly and caused so much trouble that they decided to put him in chains. The gods convinced Fenrir to let them tie him up by pretending to play a game to see how strong he was. Fenrir broke every shackle with ease, and finally the gods had the Dwarfs to make a special chain that was stronger than any known, but appeared much lighter. Fenrir was suspicious of this chain and demanded that one of the gods put his hand in his mouth while he was chained as a sign of a goodwill. The god Tyr agreed, even though he knew he would lose his hand. When Fenrir realized that he had been deceived, he actually took Tyr's hand. Meanwhile, the gods chained him to a rock and stuck a sword in his jaw to keep him open. The resulting drool formed a foaming river called Expectation. The ominous name of the river Expectation seems to be an allusion to Ragnarök, the end of the world in Norse mythology, when Fenrir breaks free of his chains and gets his revenge. Fenrir is also said to be the father of Skoll and Hati, other giant wolves who hunt the sun and moon. It's also said that when Ragnarök comes, they will finally catch and devour their targets. The Mare. The monster Mare gave people bad dreams at night by sitting on them while they slept. It was believed that the Mare were the souls of living people who left their bodies at night like demons. They were often witches whose souls took the form of animals, but ordinary people, especially adolescents, also became Mare when their spirits wandered. The idea of the soul wandering at night was a widespread phenomenon. Odin's soul wandered so often that he worried that one day it might not return to his body. It was also believed that if the Mare touched a living creature, human, cattle or tree, it would get caught in the hair. Jörmungandr. The Jörmungandr, also known as the Midgard serpent, is another child of Loki and Angrboda, the giantess. He is the serpent or dragon that lives in the sea that surrounds Midgard, the visible world of man. It's said that Odin threw him into the water to keep him out of trouble, but this creature grew so large that he could encircle all of Midgard and grab itself by the tail. He is described as an enemy of Thor. In one of the stories, Thor goes fishing with the giant Hymir, but not satisfied with the whales Hymir has caught in his favorite haunts, Thor insists on going further, out to sea, where he catches Jörmungandr on his hook. He pulls the snake out of water and the two come to face, with Jörmungandr spraying venom and blood. Hymir is so horrified by this scene that he cuts the fishing line before Thor can kill the snake with his hammer, and the snake returns to the sea. It's also said that Thor and Jörmungandr are also destined to kill each other during Ragnarök, when the serpent emerges from the sea and poisons the ocean and the sky. So these were 6 creatures from Norse mythology that also appear in Kaldheim. You can see how closely the creators of magic have followed them, and next time I will introduce you to the rest of the creatures, and thanks for listening. If you like the content, subscribe to the channel and stay informed when the second part comes out.